Welcome back to Flipping Dreams. I'm your host, Heather Renee May, and today you meet Cathy Nesbitt. Don't let the title fool you, although we do talk about Cathy and her worms and how she's changing things in Canada and the US, one compost bin at a time. But we actually dig into some really amazing deep topics about breaking the golden handcuffs of perceived security and launching into entrepreneurship. And also, although we don't really tap too much into talking about Cathy's laughter therapy, you definitely hear and feel how she uses laughter to propel her into positivity and to handle her day-to-day life. So I hope that you enjoy this really wonderful and funny, at times, chat with Cathy Nesbitt. You are listening to Flipping Dreams. No, well, I'm so excited to talk to you about your worms and gosh, I want to hear your story. How in the heck did you become the composting worm lady? Tell me all about this.
So beautiful. I'm so happy.
I just want you to know, actually, so one of my coworkers just started doing this, and that's the only, and so, yeah, so, we had a team summit and we do these 1 minute, lightning talks. And she did it on her 1,000 worms that she has.
Hey,
and and so I told her, I said, I'm going to be interviewing the worm lady. And I was like, if you need a new supply source, I'm like, I'm going to hook you up.
I don't like the fishing metaphor.
Oh, sorry. No kill worms. This is, yeah.
No, that's no good. Although they're feeding fish, so I get it.
Yeah. But no, I think I am actually really into fly fishing. And with that, there's just flies. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So
That's so funny.
we digress.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so thank you. I'm so excited that you want to listen about to my story about worms. So it's serious. I mean, I laugh because otherwise I'm crying. So there you go. So I'm just north of Toronto, fourth largest city in North America. So pretty big, 6 million people. And our landfill closed in 2002. So when the landfill for the largest city in a country closes, big problem, right? Big smelly problem. Uh, and
Yes.
right, okay. And okay, are you sitting? Yes, I see you are. um, at that time, although we're second largest country, third largest country in the world, like big, we're Canada's big country. We couldn't find a spot to put a new landfill, and we started shipping garbage to Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah, not out of the city, out of the province, out of the country.
how do
Yikes,
the
oh my garbage. Our garbage needs a passport. Yeah, that's right.
I feel like this is sort of I feel like this is something the US would do. Sorry.
That
So,
they would do that.
yes.
Yeah, but you're accepting our garbage for
That's
money,
oh, yeah.
right? We're sending you our garbage, and and we're paying a lot of money, but you're taking our garbage.
Yeah.
Bad. That's
Bad.
okay. So in come the worms. So 6 million people in the Greater Toronto Area. Half live in condos, apartments, without outdoor space for composting. And yeah, so I was like, I have a solution, everybody. And yeah, funny. So it's indoor composting with worms. So in brief, I guess, as brief as I can be, I'm chatty Cathy. um, so just like regular outdoor composting, the worms require a carbon nitrogen mix. So the carbon or the bedding is shredded paper, which is another way to get rid of something that we want to get rid of. Beautiful. All of our confidential docs can get eaten by the worms. Beautiful. And then our food scraps from the kitchen, coffee grounds, manures. If somebody has a gerbil or a rabbit, you can put the shavings and the poop from those critters into your worm bin. So beautiful. The worms eat it all, and then they create, I call it black gold, but it's castings or worm compost that then you can add to your plants and your gardens so your garden grows better naturally without chemicals.
That is amazing.
Mm.
Um, And I think like there's a whole art to this. My coworker was telling me about her bins and like how you have to, you like dig and put your, you dig like holes at a certain, like you have to rotate um, where you're putting your trash to allow the worms enough time to do their business. And yeah,
Yes.
I don't know, but
It's really not that complicated. You bury your scraps in one spot, and then a couple days later, you bury scraps in another spot. Sorry about that.
no
And
worries.
you keep rotating around. And then, sorry, my husband's supposed to be doing that. Looking after the receptionist today.
Right, right.
Uh, yeah, and then you're adding more paper, adding your food. It's really not that complicated. And although you're adding rotting food, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's aerobic process, meaning with oxygen, so it doesn't smell like rotting food. The once your worm bin gets going, it's all the little microbes, all the extra little bugs in there that do the chewing, and they break down all the food scraps. So then the worms come along, they're the cleanup crew.
That is brilliant. So there's just a few things that you can't put in there, right? You can't put like animal waste or I mean like chicken. What? Yeah, I guess you tell me. What things can you not put in the compost bin?
So, so I say everything can go in. However, if you live in a condo, you might not want to have like your dog poop in there,
Yeah.
right? So what I say is what you have is what you put in. In a condo, you would use your paper scraps and your food scraps, and that would be perfect. If you have a house and you want to do it outdoor, then you can add in your dog poop or your cat poop or extra things because it's done outside. You don't care so much about anything that might go on in there. If you have a farm, then you can look at looking after have the worms create more compost for you naturally. Again, you have the space because it's a beautiful thing for manures, for cow manure, horse manure, sheep, goats, all of your vegetarian animals. The worms will break that manure down further, making it more, what do I want to say, eat like more healthier to handle. Like once the worms have converted it, it's safe to handle.
Wow.
So
That
beautiful.
is that is so cool. So now, how many people have adopted this practice, and do you have any like statistics on like reducing the trash that you're sending us?
Yes, I do. So I've been doing this since 2002, 18 years selling worms by the pound. We've moved about maybe 11,000 pounds of worms right now. And before starting my worm composting business, I learned that a pound of worms and their descendants could transform a ton of organic waste in a year. And the average Canadian, I'm going to say average Canadian slash American family, produces a ton of organic waste in a year. So everybody needed a pound of worms. I was like, okay, I'm going to put worms in every house. The worms have a phenomenal reproduction rate. So once I sell worms to somebody, the worms are expanding. They can then, people give their worms away. I tell them to stop that because it's bad for business. But it's great for schools. I do a lot of school workshops. It's a great education to let people know the worms reduce the volume by about 80%. So let's use easy math. Say you put 100 pounds of food scraps in, you will get 20 pounds of fertilizer for your plants.
Wow.
Magic.
That's amazing. So then
Yeah.
you have beautiful plants and produce and whatever, in your garden, but you're also reducing waste and reducing your footprint. Um, that's so cool.
Isn't it? And not only that, so I started my business because the landfill for the place closed. So I was like, I have a solution for waste management. The longer I was in my business, I realized, wow, yes, they're reducing the waste, but they're creating this black gold. Our soil is depleted. So if the nutrients, when the plants are growing, the nutrients are coming out of the soil and into the plant. If we take those scraps and put them in the garbage or do anything other than composting, we're robbing the soil. Yes, we can grow another plant there, it's nature. Of course we can. It's not as nutrient rich as the last one.
Mm.
I think, well, what did I read? In the 50s, if we had a head of broccoli, that same broccoli, now we have to eat like 28 heads of broccoli to get that same nutrient value.
Wow.
Like impossible, right? So that's why supplements and why we need to take extra things because the nutrients aren't in our food.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah. This is amazing. And is this something that the country like Canada or your province or whatever is uh interested in investing in, or is it really just your like one woman crusade to convert everyone to worms?
Yeah, good question. Oh, don't make me cry.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of a one woman thing. Imagine selling worms and saying to people, "Hey, you could have them in your house, like in your kitchen. Who doesn't want worms? Like, how fun." Um, right? Yeah, so it's a bit of an education. I feel like I've created a bit of a market. I was introduced to this and was, oh, kind of a long story short, but there's a woman from Michigan, Mary Applehoff, who wrote a book called Worms Eat My Garbage in the 70s. She was a
Hmm.
microbiologist. She died in '05. But her, I was thinking, man, imagine in the 70s telling people, hey, you could have worms in your kitchen. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Mm.
Right. I still feel like an alien. So I'm so grateful. I actually had a chance to talk to Mary before she passed. And I was so grateful. I was like, wow, she answers her own phone. She was like this goddess to me. And yeah, so I was like, a big long story. I had a chance to travel to Michigan to work with schools. We created a program called Worms Without Borders. It was for schools to share. Don't you love it?
I love
It,
that.
it was for teachers to share their stories. Michigan was far advanced in worm composting because of Mary's work. And I had a chance to go there. Somehow we ended up in Flint, Michigan. Have you been to Flint?
I think I've driven through, but yeah, I mean, it's got such a rich history. Um,
Right.
this is fascinating. Okay, so you went to
So
Flint.
there we were in Flint, Michigan, and there's a lot of burned out buildings, and I was like, Michael Moore's from Flint. And I was like, Mike, that's why that's why we ended up there on our road trip. I was like, I asked a couple of people if they'd heard of Mary Applehoff and worm composting. They had not. So I said, wow, when you die, you're dead unless somebody keeps you alive. So I said, I'm going to have Michael Moore do a documentary about Mary Applehoff because he should care. He's from there. She's from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I was like, now Michigan is importing, like they're the trash capital. Like that's not really a great moniker. It is not.
Mhm.
Not when Michigan is a Great Lakes state. So as those food scraps break down, you can't contain that liquid. I don't care what they say. There's no landfill liner that's going to contain that liquid. That's toxic now. In touch with Michael Moore. I was unable because I thought they have all those empty GM buildings, all those unemployed people, and they could be the worm capital of North America. This is something that Michael Moore could wrap his hands around. I was unable to connect with him to get my idea, but that's okay. I was able to connect with another filmmaker, a Canadian filmmaker, who made a wonderful documentary about my business and how the worms are going to play an ever increasing role. So
Oh,
fun.
that's so cool. Is it available
It's
online?
on YouTube. Yes.
Okay. I want to be sure to get that link and I'll share that in the show notes.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's awesome.
Yeah, fun. I'm not sure why I veered off on that tangent. I just think it's really relevant because we're talking between Canada and the States. We're the same. We really are the same. We're afraid of the Americans a little bit, but we're like the little cousin. But really, we have the same lifestyle, and I just think this is such a wonderful way for us to convert what we've got into something better, so we can grow more more nutrient-rich food. And now with COVID, people are really becoming more aware of, well, we should grow some food. We should make our own soil. How responsible are we going to be for what we're doing?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And also, we're running out of land, I mean, sadly. So, just the idea that we can't keep finding places to put our trash, like we're not getting it's just these landfills, it's not sustainable. I mean, I hope someday that we can finally figure out how to actually decompose plastics and all of the things that the bags and all of that get stuck in the landfills. But until then, hopefully, I think we've done a pretty good job getting people to use reusable bags and canvas and all of the things. But water bottles, that still really drives me nuts. The bottled water phenomenon that has started and will never end, and it makes me crazy. I just wish that we people could just reuse their bottles. Because that stuff just sits around in the landfills. Okay, so the worms can't quite digest that.
Not yet, but I've heard that there are microbes, that are able to break down plastic. Nature really is incredible.
Mm,
So amazing. But we need to give it a chance. That's the thing.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. That is
This
so
is
cool.
a hopeful solution. Like a little bit of worm biology. Worms have 5 hearts each. Wow. And I do a lot of school workshops. So the students would be like, I mean, before COVID, when I was going to the schools, I have no idea what's going to happen in September.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody does. It's coming. Um, the kids would say, why do the worms have 5 hearts each? And I said, I made up this story about when they were giving out parts millions of years ago, they ended up with this pile of hearts. And they're like, what are we going to do with those hearts? And they said, the worms are going to be needed millions of years from now, and people are going to be afraid of worms. So let's put all those hearts in the worms. And then I say, it's not true, but what a beautiful story, right?
I love it.
Because words have energy. So when I tell people that worms have 5 hearts, it's a true story, by the way. They have 5 chambers. Um, they soften, like they might be like, ew, worms. And a lot of people, I have a psych degree, so I think it's fascinating. I'm fascinated by people and their reactions. And when people are afraid, and I was afraid before starting my business, not right before, but I had a few experiences with worms before actually embracing them and taking this on. So it was the universe testing me, I think. Or saying, here, try this. And it was horrible. I had fruit flies. It was an awful experience my first time around. And I think that happened. So then now I can say, oh, I get it. You don't want to have worms in the house, but look at how beautiful they are. They do this magic work. We need to be a little bit more responsible for what we're doing. There is no way. We can put our garbage at the curb and the magic truck comes along, but where does it take it? It just takes it somewhere else. It's not my problem anymore. It's gone. No, we need to take that responsibility back
Yeah.
and convert it into something great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and talk about like real recycling, like you're recycling, putting it back into the earth so that you can grow things to eat that are going to provide you with more nutrients. I mean, it's a great chain. I I actually think worms are cute. I used to play with them as a kid. I don't really have a problem with worms at all. There's other things that bother me.
I think though, I'm meeting a lot of adults who were traumatized as kids in the schoolyard after a rainy day, somebody chasing them around with a worm, maybe a
Oh,
sibling. Uh,
oh,
so you carry that with you, and you were traumatized as a kid, and then it just becomes part of you.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I come along and I say, you wanna get over that fear, you wanna be taller. And I asked them to hold the worm, like, and it's so fun because they're so stiff, they're like rigid, like, oh, and then I put the worm in, it's just like, ah, oh, oh, wow, not so bad. Wow. And then that whole lifelong fear, it's like they're released of that energy. A
Hmm.
stress reliever. That's what I do.
Wow. That's amazing. If we could just do that with like so many things in life.
Right, I know.
Oh my gosh. Um, So, okay, so I want to hear like who were you before you began doing all of this? What is your backstory? Your
So
pre-worm?
yeah, before I started Worms, I was, I worked in an office for 20 years as a secretary. And I don't have any entrepreneurs in my family, so I didn't know that it was an option. And I really didn't even know because I think our school system is broken. I'm not sure how it is in the States, but our system's broken. It tells people to get a job, work hard, you know, you'll get a gold watch when you retire in 30 years. I mean, those days are gone for sure, we know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not telling us about having your own business, being an entrepreneur, um, that there are other things other than working for somebody and trading time for money. There
Mm-hmm.
really is other ways. So anyway, I was a secretary for 20 years. I was a great secretary. I didn't even know that I didn't like it, except that I changed jobs about it yearly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, pardon me, so many things that I didn't understand about working. Um, that if I was unhappy in my job, I would just quit my job and know that I would get another job. I
Mm-hmm.
just was that confident that I would get another job. I'm that good. Because I never understood the idea of you need to have a job to get a job. Like, how do you get a job when you have a job?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're honest and you're like, like I can't. Lying is not in my DNA. It's hard for me to say I have a dentist appointment if I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
To go for interviews and stuff. And I know that it's a different time now with the gig economy and whatnot, but we're still not taught. And so I had all these wonderful skills. I was the president's secretary at a big watch company. So I was the gatekeeper. I was doing customer service. I was doing marketing. I was doing all of the jobs, as well as keeping the warehouse and the office staff connected. It was us and them, and it was like, no, we're together in this. We're a company together. And I think it really takes certain skills to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
But I
For
didn't
sure.
know that those skills were transferable. I didn't even know. Nobody said. Nobody told me, and I didn't know.
And I love that you're bringing up all those different points because I, as well, was an executive assistant, secretary, whatever. You know, the titles are changed depending on where you work, but basically, yeah. Uh, but you're a gatekeeper. You handle marketing. You handle communications. You have like just all of these different hats that you wear, and I think that um, that role is really is not what is the word I'm trying to say?
Respected.
Yes, it's not respected enough. It really isn't. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that role thinking they can't do something different when yeah, just like you said, you didn't even realize you had the skills to be to be your own boss. Like,
When I think now, oh my gosh, it really makes me laugh. I'm like, wow, why did it take me so long? I love being an entrepreneur. I just love it. I just think you do have to be motivated, but I
Mhm.
believe that being a secretary all those years, or admin assist, I know it's probably not appropriate to say secretary anymore. Um, those that being in that role for so many years gave me so many skills that I need as an entrepreneur. Again, you're wearing all the hats. You're the janitor, you're the cook, you're the bottle washer, and
Yeah.
you're the one that's doing the cold calling or, marketing, whatever.
Also, I think that that one of the greatest skills that is like not valued or undervalued is the act of actually communicating with people. Like, I mean, you have to handle delicate situations. You have to, work with different people with different emotions and meetings. You have to, communicate clearly, and all of these things help you to now probably talk with your customers, be real, like have a relationship and have communication that maybe some other entrepreneurs wouldn't have because they didn't spend all that time on the front lines, basically, you know?
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy that you get it because
Yeah.
it's a really important role, and I know it's ebbing and flowing with technology and how it is now. You probably don't have to get coffee anymore. It's
Right.
probably not allowed. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. You probably do.
oh, but
You
it really
probably
is
have to go
valuable.
like take the masks for dry cleaning and stuff. You know that role. I did years of assisting, and it was always vastly different. I mean, yeah, it would be from like document preparation to picking up dry cleaning from the dry cleaning. You know,
Right, flowers for the wife or whatever.
yes. Oh, presents, remembering birthdays, all of the things. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Just making them look good. The
Yep.
man.
That's it. So why not make yourself look good and do it
Exactly.
for, you know?
But I really would say that I was touting for the longest time being an entrepreneur, and I think it's a really valuable thing. But all of your experience as you're going along, anybody that's listening that's thinking, I'd like to be an entrepreneur, get some experience working for other people. So then you're like, I don't like doing that. I'm not treating my people that way. I want to, because how you want to be treated is how you want to treat other people. It's like,
Absolutely. Or find I one of the things that I always say is like if there is something you're interested in doing, find the person that's doing it or doing something similar and then like basically find yourself a role model that you can like take notes and learn and then you can add your own spice on top of it. Yeah, make it your own. But I think that you don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. You just need to pay attention and see how like someone else who's doing it really well figure out what they're doing and then just adopt it for your own practice and what you're trying to do. um,
absolutely
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, I think that's really cool. So okay, so you were an admin, whatever, secretary, admin, executive assistant, depends on what era, what we're talking. But
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, and so you went straight from that into doing worms?
No, no,
Okay.
that's my psych degree. Now I went to university not just as a learner. I went to at night to university, so it took me 15 years to get my degree, my BA.
Nice.
So
But
fun.
you did it.
But it wasn't about the degree for me. It was just about I really enjoyed going at night, meeting. It's a whole different demographic that goes to night school.
Yes.
Yeah, so I
I can
really
attest to that. I
enjoyed.
swear you're telling my story because like I did my bachelor's degree later in life and I worked at a law firm as an exec admin, whatever, secretary, for partners, and then in the evenings I went to school.
I
So,
worked out in a law firm. Get out of here.
oh my gosh. Hi, me. How are you? Okay, I need to get worms. This is my future.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So I was getting my psych degree. What happened? Yeah, just at night. And then for the last 10 years of my administrative life, I was working. There was an agency called Kelly Girl, and it was
Oh
a
my God. I've worked for them too. Okay.
so I worked 10
Yes.
years as a Kelly Girl. 10 years.
Which,
That
for people that don't know, it's a temp agency that's like temp to perm at times, depending on your assignment. But it was, and I don't know if they still do this, but it was so cool. You had these sheets and you would go to these assignments, and if you didn't like your assignment, then it was okay because you might only be there for a week and you'd be changing, but you get to work for all these different people, or they would hire you permanently from the temp agency. Anyway, okay, that's a little,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, beautiful. That's perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it because I loved meeting all the different people and I was getting my degree. So I don't know how it is where you are, but when you work temporary here, if at least at that time it was like you're not that smart, so or you're not capable of doing the important job. So I would have all these kind of easy jobs like reception and stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
would answer the phone and do what I was, what the work, but it allowed me lots of time to do all my essays and do my reading. So it was like I was getting paid to get my degree. It was fantastic
That is so
time.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I graduated in 2000, got my degree, and people said to me, "What are you going to do with a BA in psychology? Like, you really need at least a master's or a doctorate to get something with psychology." I said, "Oh, you'll see. I'm going to use it." Now I'm a worm farmer. I ended up working at a group home with challenged adults.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, this was so beautiful. I thought this was why I was put on earth. I loved that demographic. I really, so this was a facility that helped um, early adults, like 20s to 40s, um, that were dual diagnosed with mental illness. So they had two, what do you call them?
Like,
Illnesses.
yeah.
Yeah, two diagnoses.
See.
So yeah, and it was I really could connect with the people. It was just beautiful. I couldn't work with management. More politics than any office I ever worked in. And I was like, so I
Mm.
had to end up having to leave there. I got another job at a school working as a freelance behavior management specialist.
Hmm.
So using my psych degree, but it sounds impressive, doesn't it? But freelance meant when I got injured, because I did, I had no safety net. So I didn't have any, so it's like I got paid pretty good money. And I speak at schools now and for young people entering the work world. And I say, don't chase the money. Make sure that you have a safety net, that your job is secure and safe, that you're not in harm's way just to get some money,
Mm-hmm.
because the employer's not going to care if you get injured. Somebody else is going to take your place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
so
I
true.
got
It's good
injured at
advice.
work. Yeah, I got injured at work, and I was like, huh. And it's so funny. I was going to do this worm business. I didn't know business. I came home from work. There was an ad in the paper. It said, "Are you a woman? Do you have a business idea?" It was a business course to write a business plan. And I turned to my husband. I said, "I'm taking this course. No, I'm quitting my job, taking this course. I'm starting a worm business. Won't that be fun?"
And he was fully supportive.
Wow, he knows me. Yes, dear. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel incredibly blessed to have such a supportive partner for sure.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, so you've been doing it for like 18 years now, though, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of worms.
yeah.
And also, like, were there moments? So I guess I'd love to share with listeners that are thinking, okay, I could do this. I could be an entrepreneur. I can write a business plan. I have an idea. Um, so I'm sure that there are moments early on in your professional worm life that you got discouraged or began, where people were just like, we don't want worms in our kitchen. We're not interested. What are you doing? Whatever. And you just, probably felt like, why am I doing this? I mean, did you ever have those moments?
Oh, so many moments. So many moments. Believe me, as an entrepreneur, if you're not having those moments, well, you're not working hard enough. No. Oh, so many times. And I have to tell you, every business has a cycle. August is my slow time. August is my slow month. And I think a lot of businesses experience August lull. It's kind of September is the beginning, back to school, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, it must have been at least 12 or 13 years every August. Like the phone just stops ringing. Things just, it's different this year because we're in this weird time. But oh my gosh, and I would be freaking out. I'd be like, oh my gosh, how come nobody's calling? How come nobody's emailing? What? I better get my resume out. And I get my resume out. Okay, I'm going to apply for jobs. And I'm like, I would be a horrible employee. I can't work for someone else. This has to work. And like all the angst, the stress. As soon as September came along, ring, ring, ring. Now I'm super busy. Now I realize, oh, August. Okay, I better just coast because September's going to be super busy and I'm going to be back at the grind again. If I don't enjoy this time,
Mm.
then it just goes. I've had so many wonderful mentors and people that gave me these pearls of advice. So that women's course that I was in, they would have graduates come in and talk to us. And I remember, oh, so clearly, this woman came in, she was in marketing. She was a grad from the course, and she'd been in business for 3 years. And I was like, wow, I just want to be in business for 3 years. Oh my gosh, that's wow, 3 years, so great. And was so excited about the idea of being in business for 3 years. Her advice was, when you work at home and it's just you, there you are working on your thing, your dream, you're doing it. Sometimes you're not doing it because you're stuck in your head. Things just aren't working. You're stuck. She said, if you're stuck and you have a deadline and nothing's happening, get out of your house. Like, just get out. Go for a walk, you know, go take a shower, just like, well, that's in your house, but you know what I mean? Like, get
Now go to someone else's house. Take a shower.
shower at someone else's house. You know what I mean? Like, go change your scenery so then you can have some fresh things, because you're stuck. Something's happening and nothing's happening.
Yeah, that's really true. That's happened to me before where and you feel it's counterintuitive because you're like, I have to get this thing done. I've got a deadline. It's not working. The computer's not, and you're yelling at the computer and you're frustrated and you're like, I need to work harder to make it work. And it's so counterintuitive to like disconnect and step away. But every time I've done that and I come back, I get it done twice as fast. Like
Yeah.
it's like something just gets released. The energy just
New
starts to
things
move.
come in. Yeah, new things come in. And that's another piece I would love to emphasize is, we've all been going along in our life, and then we get this idea, and it's just like, woo, and we get all fired up. We're like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Maybe for a business or a hobby, just somewhere you want to go, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a business. Something, you get this idea and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so great. What most people do is they start talking about that idea in their mind. And it's like, oh, remember last time this happened, that happened. Oh, yeah, I don't want to look stupid. Okay, maybe I'll just shelve that. So we put that idea on the shelf, and then we forget about it. And then we, just get on with our day. I'm encouraging people just to go ahead. You get that idea, you get fired up. That's a message from source. That's from God or universe, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it. That's a divine thing that was given to you, and it's given to, I say 6 people, but I don't know how many people around the world get that same idea, where it's like, oh, that's so great, and everyone gets fired up. One person acts on it, and then later on you're like, that was my idea. Oh, I had that idea. Yeah, that person did it, and you put it on the shelf. So I want to encourage people to, when they get fired up, that's when your heart's singing. That's when you have to take action, like something. Just put something in place so that that can come to life. Because we need leaders right now. We really need people to step up.
Yeah, and people that are really like engaged and passionate about their lives. I mean, the whole premise of flipping dreams is this idea that it's never too late to flip what you're doing. If you're not happy and you're not like where you want to be, then change it. Like figure out how to do it, and try it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. You might try something and be like, you might try the thing you think you thought you would want to do, and you try it, and you're like, oh no, I hate this. And then you're like, okay, cool, check that off the list. Don't do that again. Try something else. But I also like that idea of like, you have those ideas and you put them on the shelf. You self-limit yourself and all the negative stuff and whatever, and so you put it away. And part of what I try to do like through my book and my course is like helping people to remember those things. So there's a shelf, like everyone has a shelf in the back of their mind with all these things. It's
Mm.
just that like maybe the door to the room is closed or locked or barred or something. And like you just have to figure out how to like get back to that shelf, because I feel like you can find these things and be like, "Oh, that's right. I had that idea." Or like, and that's why I journal a lot, because even I have tons of ideas and like inspiration, and then I'll write down like these ideas in my journals, and then like 2 months from now, maybe I'll work on one or two of the ideas, but the other ones I don't do yet. 2 months from now, I'll look back at my journal and I'll be like, oh shoot, that's right, there was that idea. I totally forgot about that. Okay, wait, let's go back to that and let's try that thing. And so I feel like inspiration and that energy is it's constant, and it's something that we have to cultivate. Like you want to be around people and talk to people that are also like I call it like a high vibe, like that high vibe where they're also following their inspiration and their energy, because then it's like it's infectious, and like you pick up on it, and then you want to go like try to find these things, and then you end up attracting other people, and it's a really fun area. It's like a really fun space to live in. You know, and we can all be negative about anything. You know, I always say if you want to find something, you can find something negative in everything. Doesn't matter what. I won the lottery, ugh, but now I have to pay taxes. Like, so you know, I'm like, so I mean, it just depends on your frame of mind, your like perspective on it. So
All perspective. That's the beautiful thing. And every day is a new day. It's so magic. It really is so, I love that. I love what you just said. It's really perfect. You know, I just was in a Bob Proctor course. You know Bob Proctor?
mm-mm.
He's motivational manifestor guy. And he said most people are living a supporting role in their own life.
Mm, so true.
Right? We're asking people, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know. You want to do it? Do it. Like,
Or or we're living like literally a supportive role in like another person's life, and we're taking that on as our role, as our life, but we're forgetting that we have our own life too, right? Like
our own dreams, like,
yeah.
right? Get to that, get to it, because when are you going to get to it? Like on your
Hmm.
deathbed when you're like, oh, I wanted to do all those things. Like when? Like now's the time. We have all this time to think about it. So now we got to think about what is it that I really want to live going forward.
Don't you think that this comes sort of out of a blame culture? Like we're in this, like we're afraid. So we like to sort of blame our circumstances or other people or whatever, be like, well, this happened. So, you know, I can't do that. Or what? And really, we know deep down we could do the thing, but we're just honestly afraid and we're not sure how. And we don't want to, like, we're too prideful to ask or figure it out or take the risk. So it's just easier to just be like, oh no, or I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too inexperienced, or no, I have too much experience to go to that level again, or like, you know, all those excuses that we have that we build up just to protect ourselves from the unknown. And but the thing is that the unknown can be amazing, right? Like,
That's where it is. That's where the amazing is. People that are listening, if you're like, oh, I want to have that life, go get it. It's there. It's waiting for all of us. We all are meant to have these, I believe, joy-filled lives. I really, really do. And the more I step into that, I mean, it wasn't always this way. Of course not. I was a secretary for 20 years. Right, I had stomach issues and I didn't even know why. It was because I wasn't meant to be there. I didn't know. As soon as I was freed from the office, my stomach issues went away. So interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. Your
Mm.
body definitely tells you, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And pain is not normal. If you're in pain, take action. It's not normal.
And there's nothing heroic about not living your life. This just came to me, but this idea where people are like, well, I've signed up for this, and so I'm doing it, and I'm going to do it till I die, you know?
Mm.
And you're just like, okay, but you're freaking miserable, and you're making everyone around you miserable, so please stop. Like, like, you know, I mean, there's nothing heroic about being in a bad situation for a long period of, I don't know why our culture places so much emphasis on, well, I did this thing for X amount of years, but you're like, but you hated it, and you like you're sick all the time, and you're like, I mean, it's just, I don't know, to me I feel like life should be joyful. Like I personally selfishly want to be around people that are happy and fulfilled. like like I really want everyone to live their dreams. I want them to reach their big fantastic dreams because they're going to just be happier to be around. So,
And imagine the world that we could create if everybody was supporting. I think that's another piece is, you know, when people want to hold you back, like if you're like doing so great and you're like telling people, hey, I have this idea. Sometimes it's us, our own self-talk that talks us out of that inspired idea. And sometimes it's we're telling somebody else and they're like, oh, remember last time, la la la. And I use the analogy of smoking. Um, like if you smoke and then you're like, I really want to quit smoking because I think all smokers do want to quit smoking. So if you want to quit smoking and you're saying to your smoker friends, yeah, I'm going to quit smoking. They're like, yeah, okay, let's go for a smoke, right? Because if you quit smoking, then either they, you can't be friends anymore, or they have to do something, they have to quit now, or they got to change too, because you're going to make them look bad. Like, you know?
Oh yeah, people are so afraid of change. But yeah, it goes back to the so I call our culture a competitive comparative culture.
Mm.
And like it's like we all look at the other person and it's like, uh-oh, well they did this, so that means I need to do this now, or this now it's a threat to me. All of a sudden it's about me, not about the other person and what they're doing. Like, um
So like, yay, look at you, good for you. Oh, you won that award. It's like, oh,
oh,
half of
you're too good for me now. Oh, now you're healthy. Oh, you stopped drinking. Oh, well then, like, yeah, and it's just because of our own, like, probably our own self guilt of like knowing like we probably should be quitting smoking, or we probably should, whatever it is. But I think it's really sad that we can't be more encouraging of other people, you know? Because, like, you're not going to lose anything by encouraging other people to live their best life. Like, literally, there's enough cake for everyone. The pie is huge. Like, I.
you.
I don't understand this idea of like that there's scarcity. There's not scarcity. There's like literally vast amounts of amazingness in this world. Like so that makes me crazy when I see that. Like I just think everyone should be lifted up.
Everyone should be lifted up. If we lift each other up, and that's where entrepreneurship comes in. If you're an entrepreneur and you're involved in networking groups that are supportive, you find your people, and then you just support each other. I was at an event yesterday, and it was so funny. I said entrepreneurs are hilarious, and it really is cash flow. We just buy from each other. Hey, what do you got? Here, I'll take one of those. Here, cash flow. It's not cash keep. So we pass it along. Although we're not buying from each other, we are, but not everybody is your customer. But everybody really needs to be your referral partner. Everybody needs to know what you do, so then they can, when somebody says, "Hey, do you know where I can get some worms? I'd like to do composting." Then you're like, "Hey, yeah, I know somebody," and you can pass them along, or opposite, whatever it is. So we can just support each other, especially at this time. Like, whew.
Yeah. Oh, but what I was going to say is like the idea that okay, we were talking about everyone doing this because I just lost it again, but it's going to come back. Oh, figuring out this is something that's come up before in some of the other conversations is the idea of what success is for you, right? So like everyone, a lot of people are entering the entrepreneur space. A lot of people are, on social media. They're referring, they're selling their products, their lifestyle, whatever. They're trying to monetize all the things.
Mhm.
And I think that there's there's something to be said for like figuring out what your level of success is, or what your idea of success is, because it's not always money. Sometimes it's just getting, reaching other people. Sometimes it's like connecting people, or sharing ideas, or helping other people in different ways. So I think like being really clear as an entrepreneur on like what your vision is, and if truly your version of success is I have so many likes, or I'm making so much money, or whatever, or I just like met an amazing person and that like conversation changed my life, or whatever. I think just figuring out what that is and like striving for that, and also making sure that like your idea of success is going to be different from some other people, and that's okay.
Absolutely, yes. The comparative thing. Oh my gosh. So even like as entrepreneurs, we're, comparing, and it for most people it is not about money. As long as you have enough to live the life you want, it's not like, for me, it's really not about money. Money just comes. I feel really grateful that it does. Thank goodness it does, because I don't really think about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Perfect.
when you're doing your thing, I really believe that if you're doing what you love, it's not like work. It all sounds cliche. It really is not. You have to get real. What is it that you want? What kind of life do you want to live? And go after that. Like you said, model people, connect with people that are doing what you want. What do they say? You're like the most five most people that you hang around with, or whatever your circle. So just circle up, right? Just to get with people that have what you want to have, or
Yeah.
are doing what you want to do.
And look for it, because sometimes it's not going to be right there. Like, you're going to have to do some digging. You're going to have to, stalk some people. No, I'm just kidding. But like, you're going to have to like you're going to have to like want it. I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that like this idea that all you need to do is come up with a brilliant idea and everyone will just shower you with money and praise and you'll have everything. Well, that's like Disney. Or that's a movie. That's not reality. The reality is that you can have a great idea, but it still means you have to put in a lot of work, and it means that your original idea might have to iterate to finally be successful. And you're going to probably need to bring people in, and you're probably going to need to find resources. And it's not just all going to happen overnight, and it will take time. That's the thing. It's like endurance. It is like a long race.
It's a long race, absolutely. And entrepreneurship is not for everybody. When I started my business, 2002. So what happened? The landfill closed. 2002, we had a garbage strike, and of course, it was in the summer, because when else would you have a garbage strike?
Yeah.
The maximum benefit.
Hmm.
Okay, so I was watching the news, and people were lining up for hours to drop off their garbage at the transfer station. I was like, they don't compost, because if they compost, right, it takes the stink out of garbage. So I chose media as my marketing strategy. So I was like, I'm going to go on a road trip. So I sent press releases to the Toronto news outlets. 5 minutes after sending my press release, a reporter from the Toronto Star called me and said, "Thank you for your press release. I wrote an article last week about composting, but I forgot about the apartment dwellers. When you're done at the transfer station, can you come down to the Star, and I'd like to interview you?" So I was like, "Yippee!"
Yay.
I could get
Yeah.
it right there. It was fascinating. I mean, I think it was fascinating experience, and I have no idea where I got I would say, the nerve or the gall to go and face um, about 80 or 100 picketers, angry strikers, um, just me. And anyway, the police ended up getting called, and I ran away at that time. I was like, I don't want to cause trouble. I was just there because I was curious why people weren't like why they would line up for 3 hours to drop off their garbage, like nothing better to do. Like, you could sit in your backyard and have a beer.
It's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I can't remember why I went down that road, but I've just I think for me, I get all these divine thoughts, and I just act on them. I just take action, and then I take action, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, what did I do? Maybe I should stay in my box. But it's when you're out of your box that magic really happens. And
It's
I've had some incredible experiences as an entrepreneur that I never would have had if I was working for somebody else.
it's
That's
so
what I can
true.
say.
Yeah, this podcast, for instance, was a complete divine moment. At 4 in the morning, I woke up and it was like, do a podcast. And I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, well, I can't get back to sleep. So let me just Google in bed. So I'm like lying there in bed, like Googling. And the first article that I found was like from Buzzsprout, and it was like complete, like A to Z. This is how you do your whole This is how you set up your podcast, do your artwork, do this, do that. This is how you record. This is the microphone to buy. This is the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, by 9 o'clock in the morning, I had already created my artwork and like started working on, I'd already written out my vision for it. And within, I think, a week, I had my first episode, my first teaser episode, and then that was it. It was June 1st and I've been doing it weekly since. So, and then it was like, okay, this seemed like a good idea, but now I'm having to do this every week. but like I don't have enough because I have a full-time job and I'm also a musician and I'm also like doing so I'm like, why did I do this? But the great thing is that right as I'm asking those questions, and I end up interviewing and having these like amazingly inspirational conversations. And really the reason I do this is because I want to enlarge my community, right? Like I'm here working remotely. Now everyone is finally working remotely. So, we're all in our little bubbles and we only get to talk to the people we know. And like this idea that you can reach out across state, country lines and have a fantastic conversation with a like minded soul and get to share like inspiration and advice and different things. It totally makes my week. And I know it makes other people, I've heard from some of the listeners, like they really enjoy the conversation. So that's
Mm.
it. I mean, so we'll keep doing it. But yeah, it definitely is one of those things where you can have the idea, it's divine, you move forward, you make it happen, and then like 2 months later, you're like, oh, why am I doing this?
Right. And I think sometimes, you might be so on purpose and you're like, oh, this is so great. You have a solution for something. But the universe tests you. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? So many times things got thrown in my way and it was like, oh, that's a shiny object. I should go after that. And, sometimes I would. And then it wasn't, I think that intuition has been washed away from us. It's not something that we grow. We don't really encourage people to use their intuition and listen to it. It's like, oh, maybe that's just gas. No, that's the universe
That's your
saying that's a bad person. Don't go with that person.
that's your gut check. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's not the Mexican food you had for lunch. That's really
you
like
know, yeah, I think that that's something that our society is. I don't know if it's part of the control or what it is, like keeping us in line. I'm not sure what it is. That if we're all like inspired and we're all living these wonderful lives, like what will happen to society? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think it goes back to like the smoking thing though. I think it's just like people when they see you happy and doing your life, living your best life, then they feel like pressured or stressed out that they now have to live or they feel bad that they're not living their best life and when they know they could. And so it's it's like a way of like control. Yeah, I mean I do think it's control in this weird way. I don't know. Um and I also think it takes work. So there's a lot of joy. There's a lot more joy. So I would say living a life where you're embracing growth and you're constantly learning and you're curious and you're waking up each day and you're transforming negative thoughts into positive ones and you're doing all this stuff. It is work. Like
Well,
there is, it is, yeah, it's not like it comes naturally. And I think there's that. Like some people, it's so much easier to just be negative and just to like stay in your bubble and not try anything new and just be in control of everything and whatever. But I think that the thing that you lose when you do that is you lose your joy of life, your joie de vivre. You lose the essence that we're put here. Like, and if you lose your hope and your passion and your zest for life, then like that doesn't sound like a very great way to spend your time. Like to me, I don't know. It
yeah, no, this seems really heavy, but this is really, I hope that people that are listening are hearing the message. Yes, you can just go along and coast along and work your 9 to 5 job and everything fine. That's
check
fine.
your box. Check.
Check your box, right? Like, I mean, you get good, again, back to secretarial or admin assist, you get good money. You have benefits, you have a pension, whatever. You have all these golden handcuffs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You have so much vacation, and that's the thing. If you've been at your job for some time and now you have 4 weeks vacation, it's like, how can I go back to 2 weeks? Right? They kind of have you there because it's like, oh, how am I going to negotiate 4 weeks? But imagine, folks, if you work for yourself, you work in your own amount of vacation. Like you
Mm-hmm.
might work 12 or 14-hour days most of the time, more than not, but it's for yourself, right?
But
You're,
but those are inspired hours. Like the days
yes,
that I do 15-hour days are like I feel really good because I've been doing the stuff that I want to do for my vision or for my purpose. It's
yes.
different than clocking in and clocking out and watching a clock. You, in fact, the time just zips by and you're like, "Oh man, there's just not enough hours." Okay, let me try it again tomorrow. Um, so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just like, yeah, the idea that so they are long days, like
Can be, can be.
can be.
The beautiful part for me is, like I was saying before, when if you're stuck, you need to get out for a walk. My husband and I are both working in the worm business now, and some days it's a beautiful day out. It's like, let's just call it a day right now at noon or 11 or whatever. Let's just go to a forest and we'll just go for a walk. And it's like, this is so great. But we might be working at 10 o'clock at night,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like, it's so beautiful.
It is really beautiful. And I think like the other thing to remind listeners is like, at one point in time, being an entrepreneur had a lot more fear associated with it. And because unless you had like a backing, unless you had financial backing or like a fallback, it was a lot scarier. There also weren't as many opportunities of things to do entrepreneurially. Like it generally was like, oh, you're going to open a brick and mortar shop, or you're going to, um, yeah, like you're going to have a store, or you're going to sell things in a marketplace, or you're going to like, so everything like had a physical location. There was a lot of overhead. It was certain areas that you would want to be in to be able to make money. But now with tech, with all the things that people are doing, I mean, we are making money and being entrepreneurs from out of our minds, out of our like there's so many different opportunities, and I think that that's really exciting. That's the space where I encourage people to get really curious about things that they're interested in, because really the sky's the limit. You can do practically anything online, and now everyone is doing everything online because we can't see each other in person. But yeah, like this idea that like it might be scary for some people to brainstorm and think out of the box, but I think it's just really fun. I think it's really fun to like just imagine all the different lives you could have. Like if you think of like your dream life, and like whether it's to be an author or to travel around the world writing stories, or to take photo, go up to the Arctic with a camera or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't know. People have a lot of ideas. Some people want to jump out of planes. That is not one of my ideas. I never want to do that. But like, people have dreams and ambitions and things, and I think it's really exciting. And I hope that like this conversation and all the conversations on Flipping Dreams like help encourage people to like open that door and just see, just try things.
Yeah, I think what I say to the students is, if you have, like, unfortunately, we can't have a basket of solutions. Oh, I have all these solutions, I'll just create something. We have to have problem first and then solution. So we have a lot of problems. So, you know, I'm an environmentalist. It doesn't have to be environmental. It can be, you have a good idea to make life better, doing anything, whatever, something. If you have a
Yeah.
solution, then there's a business there. You
Yes.
just need to figure out how you're going to market it. There's a lot of pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I absolutely think that like some of the most important things that I've done in my life have come out of me being really, really ticked off about something. So, but it's true. It's true. I mean, that's like when you're angry about something or you're jealous about something, which is kind of anger in a weird way. Like those things are clues to you. Those are like dig into that and be like, okay, like I need to be doing something. If I'm so upset about this thing and I like want to change it, cool. That's when you're actually going to find your passion. That's when you find
I
your
think
purpose.
so. Agreed. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
Get
doesn't,
get angry.
yeah, exactly. Everyone get ticked off. And then like, we're all going to like have these amazing entrepreneurs coming out, these great ideas. And I just love that. Like, yeah.
They are coming. I've met so many young people that are just like, I don't know where they're from. They have these ideas. It's like, how did you? Wow, it's amazing. Yeah.
That is so
So
cool. Well, we've gone all over the place from worms to like, changing the world, and I love this. But we probably should near a close, although I could talk to you forever. This has been really, really fun. Um, I don't know if you have a quote that you wanted to share with listeners, one of your
of course
favorite
I do.
quotes. Okay, good. Good.
I have a couple, but the one I thought I would share today is, and I came up with it because of my worm business, and it's without awareness, action is impossible. So, and that was, if you don't know about having worms in the house, you're not calling me. So that's bad for business. But it really could go for anything. Like if you don't know about something, then you're not looking into how you can solve it. Like again, we have a lot of water issues, air, fuel. We have so many issues. Um, get aware, and then you can take action.
I love that. That's awesome. Awareness. Everyone needs to raise their level of awareness in every way. Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Cathy. How can people find you and your worms?
So I have an amazing website. My husband's my web guy, so it's cathyscomposters.com, and you can find all the beautiful things that I'm doing there.
And that's Cathy with the C and a
Yes,
Y,
yes.
composters.com. Okay, and I'm going to put all this in the show notes and your documentary. Hopefully, I can
Something to
find
do
that.
fun, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be great. And I'm going to look into, maybe getting some little worm friends.
I love it.
Have some little worm friends here in the house. I don't consume as much, but I can try.
Well, 5 hearts each. There's 800 to 1,000 worms in a pound. That's 4 to 5,000 hearts you're bringing into your house. It's a lot of.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, so beautiful. I'm so grateful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Flipping
Really.
dreams.
Yes. Yes. Flip your worms, flip your dreams. This is,
Beautiful.
yeah. Thank you, Cathy. Well,
Thank
have a
you.
wonderful rest of your day and yeah, take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
I know.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Flipping Dreams. I hope it's inspired you to check out Cathy, maybe get a pound of worms, maybe go launch a new business, or just laugh. Either way, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I look forward to bringing you another amazing conversation next week here on Flipping Dreams. Don't forget, it's never too late to transform your past and empower your future.